Hi everyone, my name is Matthew. I am the VP of Solution and Services at DataDome. DataDome is a leading AI-powered cyber fraud platform. We protect major brands such as New York Times, Foot Locker, TripAdvisor against online fraud. That includes card cracking, credential stuffing, scraping, of course, and so on. Today we're going to talk about attacks performed by bots. So we go over the tools, the framework they're using, and of course, defense mechanism we can put in place to protect websites. So first, I'm going to start with the framework and libraries. Then I'm going to go to the tools, and I'm going to conclude with the defense mechanism. All right, so let's start with Puppeteer Stealth, which is, I'm sure you all know it, a library that's been used heavily by bots. It was very efficient. You can integrate Puppeteer with a CAPTCHA farm. So if CAPTCHA is being requested, it can be solved automatically. So bot creator, I've been using Puppeteer Stealth a lot. Today, the library is less maintained. For the past year, only a few updates on GitHub. And because of that, a lot of side effects, which makes it less interesting to use. The reasons behind are, number one of the main contributor of the library started his own product, which is a paid product. So obviously less interest into this one. And the second reason that is very important is Google released a new headless Chrome. And the new headless Chrome that was released about a year ago, they made a big change. So about 7 years ago, Chrome headless was implemented. And last year, they decided to merge Chrome headless and Chrome headful. Chrome headful is the one you use on your computer. Chrome headless is the one that is used by bot creator. And because they are now sharing the same code base, the fingerprints are the same. So if you look at the fingerprint coming from Chrome headless or Chrome headful, you pretty much have the same one. What's left, the remaining part that is still used to detect bots on this one will be CDP. CDP is the Chrome DevTools protocol, which is pretty much a set of API that are being used by third party to automate Chrome. So as I was saying, CDP is the last thing remaining. We've seen new types of bot software such as Selenium driverless. Selenium driverless does not use Chrome driver. Instead, they re-implemented with low-level function of DevTools protocol. And because they're doing this, the last remaining signals that were being used to detect CDP are becoming invisible. By using low-level function, they can completely bypass that. And Selenium driverless, on top of that, integrate with proxies, so it can be used by bot creator to distribute attacks very efficiently. So that's one of the first methods on using a headless browser with Selenium driverless, for example. Next things that is heavily used as well is, let's say, the bot creator is building a bot in Python. The user agent used that is being forged will be detected as invalid in terms of TLS fingerprint. So libraries such as Noble TLS will allow the bot creator to have a matching user agent and TLS fingerprint. And that is very important because when the request is received, the WAF will see the request, obviously, but because the TLS is matching the user agent, they will not flag it as malicious. And since bots rely only on server-side signals, they will not be able to detect Python script leveraging Noble TLS. So it's very useful to build a bot quickly. Bot creators are using that a lot to have to forge low-level signals, such as the TLS. Next tool is called Ghost Cursor. Ghost Cursor is a tool that will generate mouse movement in a more human way. So if you move your mouse in JavaScript, you will have a straight line. If you use this tool, and bot creators are using it, they will be able to generate a mouse movement that is much more human. So for bot, it will be much more efficient to have a mouse movement, more human-like mouse movement when they move the mouse to automate traffic. Finally, IPs. So obviously, IPs are very important. A lot of bots rely on IPs, and a lot of WAF look at IPs to flag malicious traffic. They're going to look at the quality of the IP, reputation of the IP, and so on. Proxies like this one, services like this one, they provide bot creator with millions of IPs. And on top of that, the IP that I'm providing with are localized. So for example, if a bot creator want to perform an attack in the US against a US website, they will use local IPs. So if the WAF is detecting, is protecting against traffic not coming from the US, well, because these IPs are local, they will be, US IPs, and they will bypass this type of security. So anything that is geolocation will be bypassed with this type of IPs. The IPs I was saying are residential. So if the bot is looking for server IPs or like host IPs, they will not detect them as such because the IPs are residential IPs, are clean residential IPs. And finally, you have millions of them. So bot creator can distribute the attack across millions of IPs. So if the WAF is doing rate limiting, they will see only a few requests per IP. They will not see that this is a massive attack, for example. At DataDome, we had an example where there was an attack performed, and the bot creator were using 250,000 IP addresses, and they were using 8,000 ASCs. It was heavily distributed, and that was something that the WAF cannot pick up. On top of that, and that's very smart from the services, they have something called bot as a service. So let's say the bot creator wants to scrape a site, but he doesn't want to build the bot. Well, the only thing they have to do is plug the URL of the website they want to scrape in this kind of services, and the service will scrape the site on their behalf. You don't have to build a bot. The bot is being created by these services. And what's very important to note is bot creator will only pay for successful requests. So if it takes 10 or 100 or 1,000 requests to get access to that page, they will only pay once. That's very important because they can control their costs, and they will know right away how much it costs to get full content of a site. CAPTCHAs. So traditional CAPTCHAs are dead. There are a lot of articles that have been written. You have a few here. And what they've measured and noticed in these articles are CAPTCHAs are solved better by bots than human. So bots are faster, and they're more efficient than human to solve a CAPTCHA. So pretty much today, if you add a CAPTCHA on any flow on your website, the human, like us, will be impacted. We'll have to solve the CAPTCHA, but the bot have to solve the CAPTCHA automatically. They will pretty much not be impacted by this. So friction is created with end users, but not with bots. This kind of tool that you have on the screen, Cap Solver, provide the ability to bot creator to use CAPTCHA farm. And these CAPTCHA farm are, let's say, AI powered. So pretty much you can, this service, they use AI to perform image recognition, voice recognition, and bypass CAPTCHA. A few years ago, when you wanted to have a CAPTCHA farm, these kind of services, they were using labor in country where it's more accessible to perform the CAPTCHA resolution. So CAPTCHA were going there, it was being resolved by a human being and back. It was taking 45 seconds. On top of that, it was expensive. It was costing about $5 for 1,000 CAPTCHA. With these kind of services that are fully automated, CAPTCHA solved in 5 seconds. And if you look at the grid, it will say that to solve 1,000 CAPTCHA, it costs 80 cents. 80 cents to solve 1,000 CAPTCHA in 5 seconds. So having a CAPTCHA will not help. So traditional CAPTCHA are inefficient, they impact human, and they're not really helping with the bot prime. Now I'm going to talk about tools. So these were framework and libraries that you still have to do a lot of work to make work together. So bot creator, they use them, but you also have tools that are fully implemented. So for example, OpenBullet 2 is heavily used by bot creator to perform credential stuffing attacks. Credential stuffing attacks can be done pretty much automatically with this tool. The only thing bot creator have to do is load the list of words they want to use. They want to have their proxies added as well as their CAPTCHA farm ID. So pretty much the OpenBullet 2 can solve CAPTCHA, can distribute the attack across tons of IPs. And the last thing to do is configure OpenBullet 2. But even that can be done very easily. OpenBullet 2 comes with an off-the-shelf library of tons of configuration. So if a bot creator want to attack a specific site, chances are the configuration already exists, and the only thing they have to do is load it into OpenBullet 2, add their API key for captcha farm and proxies, and they're good to go. That's the only thing they have to do. So even without a lot of knowledge, they can perform a very advanced attack using OpenBullet 2. All right, so a lot of ways to perform attack, efficient one. Now let's see what we can do. So as I was saying, bots using headless Chrome, for example, they can have a clean fingerprint. Then they can forge low-level signals, such as TLS fingerprint. So that is something covered by the libraries. You can have services, they can use services to solve CAPTCHA, and very efficient, I was mentioning, even better than the human solving CAPTCHA. And on top of that, you have tools such as OpenBullet 2 that combine everything. So all in one solution to perform credential stuffing attack. So what can be done? Well, multi-layer approach. That's the best thing you can do to detect bots, a multi-layer approach, and that's what I'm going to explain. First thing, I'm going to talk about a few techniques that can be implemented to protect, for example, the login endpoint. So credential stuffing, something efficient to protect against is MFA. So MFA will help credential stuffing. It can be bypassed, but it helps credential stuffing. In terms of fake account creation, what can be done is detect, of course, disposable emails, make sure the email is being used an actual one and it's not coming from a temp email address. Checking the phone number helps. Send an SMS, send a text message to confirm that the device, the phone is the actual one, and so on. But what is very important is to have a real-time protection solution. And I mean real-time because of course, bots are changing a lot, so it needs to be real-time. It needs to be efficient against distributed attacks, so you need to look at the big picture. It needs to be efficient to detect captcha farms, because bots, I was telling you, can use captcha farm very easily, and it's not costly anymore. And of course, you want a solution that is not going to impact humans, so it is to make sure the user experience is not being impacted by the solution itself. So, to have this detection in place, the key is to detect to collect a lot of signals. And at DataDome, for example, we collect 1,000 signals with every single request. So every single request, we're going to check 1,000 signals in real time. That translates to 5 trillion signals every single day that we process in real time. And the signals are to be collected client-side and server-side. I was telling you at the beginning, TLS fingerprint, you can be forged very easily, but creators are forging TLS fingerprint, so it's important to have signals server-side and client-side. So client-side, first thing we do is collect signals around the OS, the browser, and the device to make sure that the CPU, GPU, all that is matching the actual device being used. Of course, the solution has to detect framework, and we want to make sure that Selenium and Puppeteer are being detected. Right? All these automation tools have to be detected. Mouse movement, look at mouse movement, make sure they're human. So these are for the client-side signals. Server-side, HTTP headers, make sure there are no anomaly, make sure they are consistent. It's important to collect all the HTTP headers. And finally, TLS fingerprint, still, it has to be done because sometimes bots miss it. And once you have all these signals, so DataDome again, 1,000 signals per request, 5 trillion signals a day, they have to be analyzed in real time. And that's key. Real time is key. So DataDome, we collect all the signals and we analyze them in less than 2 milliseconds. And the second thing that needs to be done is analyze every single request. We see bots that are very advanced. What they do is they are going to warm up a session as a human, expecting to have a cookie that is authorized. Once they get the cookie, they transition the session to a bot. So they warm up the session as a human, they pass all the security, they are validated by the bot solution, and then they're going to transition to a bot, and the bot will access the entire site with a validated cookie. So very important, check every single request to avoid having a human warm-up session. So once you have all these signals, they have to be processed in real time. So number one thing, validate verified bots. Search engine, social network, these are automated as well, but obviously you don't want to block them. So verify that Google is the actual Google crawler and authorize it. We notice on our side we have about 30% of fake Google crawler, for example. So always validate good verified bots. Custom rules. Customers, they have IP addresses, for example, they want to authorize. So validate these first. And if they want to authorize them, obviously they authorize. Signature-based detection. That is very important. It's blocking pretty much the obvious bots. So if there is an attack performed against any of our customer, DataDome will create a bot pattern. And that bot pattern is reused against all the traffic coming. So if, let's say, New York Times under attack, bot pattern is being created, and that pattern is reused to protect all the customers. So it helps being very fast to detect bots. And then a lot of machine learning. Supervised, unsupervised machine learning, behavioral machine learning. So for example, you want to make sure that using machine learning, you want to make sure that the fingerprint received and look at each attributes and group attributes are consistent. So that's done through machine learning. Unsupervised machine learning, behavioral, make sure that create tree of journey of visitors and make sure they are confirmed, make sure they have valid. For example, if you see a bot coming to the website and going to the payment right away without adding to cart first, it's not normal, right? The normal journey of visitors on the website will be, I add something into my cart, and then I go to the payment. So always validate that the journey of the visitor makes sense. And then behavioral models, genetic algorithm, time series, detect outliers, and so on. So all that has to be done in real time. So DataDome by default, we have hundreds of out-of-the-box machine learning. But then something very important is we have a SOC team that is going to fine-tune the models and create new ones. So our customers, when they come, the SOC team will analyze the traffic and build dedicated machine learning models. So we have about 85,000 use case specific machine models that we apply to the traffic. So for example, specific ones for login, specific ones for payment, and so on. So it's very important to have this dedicated model that you apply to part of the traffic. And that's the conclusion. It's like bots today, they have access to a lot of tools, a lot of framework to have clean fingerprint, tons of IPs. They can solve CAPTCHA. They can pretty much look really, really human. And the solution with that is to have as many signals as you can, collect all the signals that you can, analyze them in real time, and make a decision for every single request, which is what we do at DataDome. So now that I said that, I'm guessing most of you have a website. What you can do is if you go to datadome.co, you can enter the URL of your website. We have a bot tester that is going to test all these types of attacks against your website, and you will get a report. So you will know what kind of attack right now can bypass your actual security and which one are already detected by your security. So that's going to give you a good idea of where you stand in terms of security, and that's done on our website on datadome.co. And that's it. Thank you.